Florida versus Tennessee. That was a thriller there. This was another game where early on it looked a little shaky for the favorites. Tennessee starts off the drive and rhythm, but boom, another RPO, try to hand it off, couldn't get it, turnover. And Florida ends up getting a field goal from it, going all the way down the field, and they are up 3-0. And it was pretty much a stalemate like that for the rest of the half. The defenses were on both sides were kind of playing out of their minds. None of the offenses could kind of crack the code, which was a little surprising for Tennessee, but we'll get into that. Florida had several drives where they got into the red zone, but something just ended up happening every time. It was a turnover or end up having to settle for a field goal or penalty. It seemed like they kept getting into the red zone and then just couldn't found a way not to walk away with any points. But Florida ends up going up 10-0 halfway through the third quarter, and that's where you could feel the uneasiness there. Again, Florida is a 3-2 team. You're like, oh, Tennessee, highly ranked, Nico, they're going to handle them. It was feeling a little uneasy and feeling like we may get another upset. And please listen, folks. Tennessee has to be one of the most difficult places to play in. It feels like the state of Tennessee fills that stadium up. Like, it is ridiculous how electric it is out there, especially for those night games. So it is no fall, especially for a struggling Florida team. That is no easy feat to just go in there and be up 10-0 in that type of hostile environment. So again, it was feeling uneasy for Tennessee there. And then on the touchdown pass to go up 10-0, Graham Mertz ends up getting hurt, and he is out for the rest of the game. DJ Lagway ends up taking over. And unfortunately, we found out today that Graham Mertz is hurt or will be out for the remainder of the season. So big loss for Florida there. They did kind of, run a 2-quarterback system, but this will be DJ Lagway's team moving forward. And he's shown some glimpses of being phenomenal. And other than Texas, they have, this should be a pretty seamless transition here. To the point where some people were calling for him to start anyway. And so, yeah, they should be pretty comfortable with that. But we'll see. I think they had some back and forth with who would be the starter, but maybe this helps Lagway settle in and knowing, it's no one over his shoulder anymore. And we'll see if he can take control and kind of finish out the season strong for Florida. But big loss for Florida there. But Tennessee ends up responding from there. It's like that touchdown flipped the switch for Tennessee. It's kind of like the meme of the game where you go down a little too much and then you're like, all right, let me sit up in my seat. That's what Tennessee did. And they got going on offense, ended up taking the lead 17-10. And then with seconds left, Florida goes on a drive. DJ Lagway throws a touchdown to tie the game there at the very end, which ended up sending this into OT. Huge clutch play for Florida and DJ Lagway there. Exactly, what you want to see now, knowing that, hey, this is going to be our quarterback moving forward. And again, and that Tennessee defense is no joke themselves on the road. I mean, and to just be thrown into like, hey, you gotta take us all the way here. Huge for Florida and Lagway. So they end up tying it. It goes into OT. And then another one, Florida got the ball, but missed their field goal. Couldn't hit the field goal. and Tennessee ends up getting the ball, but they kind of made a statement there. They had the ball and they end up scoring a touchdown. Like you could tell they were looking to close this out. They didn't want this to come down to a field goal. They didn't even want to play around with it, and they end up punching it in there at the end to win it in OT. But another thriller in the SEC, a big win for Tennessee, but a good showing for Florida. Florida is another one of those teams that are mid-tier team. Not expecting a lot from them this year. I think they have one of, if not I think they may have the hardest schedule in the country. And a great showing for them. Again, I don't know how many people know this, but it is extremely hard to play in Tennessee, especially at night. I mean, they are on fire out there, and they have a team to get behind and be excited about this year. So very, very good for both teams, I guess. Tennessee, able to pull it out, but good showing for Florida, because it's probably not a college football playoff year for you guys anyway. But good to see that they fought and were able to compete and go toe to toe with that Tennessee team. Takeaways for Tennessee: their defense is legit. They showed that. They can be an elite defense here in the SEC, and they definitely get energized by that crowd. That's a team you don't want to have to play in Tennessee. I keep saying it, but they get it's like they just get shot in the arm from that crowd, and they just get amped up in even more, and it's even more difficult to get past them. But really good defense, but it seems like we may have discovered that their offense may not be as high flying as we thought. Last week lost, upset by Arkansas 19-14. Again, 2 touchdowns that game. And then this game ended up winning 23-17 in OT. And then it was a 3-0 first half. So, Nico is great, but obviously still has some learning to do, still has some growing to do. But coming out in the season, I think they were scoring like 70, something like you were putting up crazy numbers and just looked unstoppable. But now we kind of see like maybe need to pump our brakes there. Offense may not be as good, but still a good offense, and got a strong defense. So that's my takeaway for Tennessee. And then, like I said, with Florida, they just continue to battle. Their schedule isn't going to get any easier. They have the hardest one in the country. And seems like they found their identity, and now they, by default, have found their quarterback, who's going to, who shows some glimpses there, some clutch play in a very hostile environment. So, shoot, you could do it in Tennessee, you could do it anywhere. So they should have a no fear, nothing to lose mentality to play with, which makes them even more dangerous. And they are a different team, I feel like, than we saw against Miami. And so they have some confidence now, and they're gonna break some teams' hearts, some teams who may have something to play for. So be careful, keep your eye on Florida.